wireless connection. Oh, I am live. Happy Sunday, mamas. This is Priya from Mom's Pump here, and this is the first episode of Spilled Milk Sundays. Yay! So this show is about where parenting gets real, and we decided to do a new series because hashtag the pink life just wasn't enough. So we're happy to be here with you live Sunday morning. Grab your cup of coffee. I have my Mom Boss cup and your mimosa and join us for some fun. So I'm going to invite in our special guest, Elizabeth Summers. Give me 1 second. It's inviting in. This always takes a while. Subliminal messages. And we're waiting for Elizabeth to come in. So Elizabeth is our first amazing guest. And she is a... Hi, Elizabeth! I see you.
How are you?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning. It worked. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if it's going to work.
I know. Facebook Live always glitches. And usually when I do it, it takes a while for the second person to hop on.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad it was seamless for you this morning.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome. This is our very first episode of Spilled Milk Sundays. And I'm so glad that you're our first guest.
I didn't realize it was the first one. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a big...
So you are the guinea pig.
Yes.
And this is all an experiment for our mamas watching. This is all an experiment. Because I wanted to take a break from talking about tips and advice,
right,
and really dive into what it means to be a mom or a parent.
Right.
And I thought the best way to do that was with our amazing bloggers who are all parents, are working in the mom and dad industries. We have pediatricians, we have nurses like yourself, we have wellness experts. You're also a doula, which is fantastic. Yeah. I love that our first guest is a doula. So it was very important to us to be able to really dive into what it means to be a mom, life, how hectic it is, but also talk about the business side of things.
Right.
So, MomsPumpHere is a health and wellness company for nursing moms. We've been around since 2012. We have our GPS locator and our app that helps moms find places to breastfeed and breast pump around the world.
Right.
But in addition to that, we also provide content for moms, for life, for wellness, hot topics sometimes. We have some fun celebrity stuff going on. But it was also important for us to really dive into the business side because we have a lot of mompreneurs.
Yeah, you do. Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny because being a mompreneur myself and starting MomsPumpHere back in 2012, it was tough. It's still tough.
Yeah.
The challenges do not stop. And if anybody has seen recently, and we've got tons and tons of messages, we recently switched servers for our website and the app database. So as you know, we're international. So there's no right time to do something like that.
Totally.
Regardless, there's no right time.
Right.
So just a quick note for our moms and our dads watching. Thank you for your messages. I am so sorry it's taking so long. It is killing me inside that the website has been down for so long. But we have our social media. Reach out to me. Dump on me if you want. I am so sorry. But it's a blessing that you all think so highly of what we've created. And we're there for our parents that need us. So I am humbled by that. So let's dive right in.
All right.
So Elizabeth Summers is a nurse, is a doula, and she is the founder of Elizabeth Summers Wellness. And she is this amazing mom and amazing business owner. Every week, I saw your live videos that you do frequently about some really great topics. So I'm hoping in the future we could bring you on for more stuff.
Yes, I love it.
And Spilled Milk Sundays, we're going to switch it up a little bit. And I really want to, before we start talking about your business and what you do in your mompreneur life,
yes,
I also want to talk about the messiness of being a mom.
Totally.
Yeah. So what were your wins and your losses for this week in momdom?
Goodness. Well, it's so funny. I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, what story am I going to tell? And actually last night I went to Target with my 8-year-old and my 5-year-old, and I probably should have taken them to the gym because it's cold in Minnesota and they've got cooped up energy. And instead they used Target as their gym, and they were tearing up and down the aisles. They were trying to come over the mirrors by the shoe section. And then I was having trouble at the checkout. I was doing a self-checkout because I thought, oh, it'll be easier. And they were like wrestling on the floor on top of each other, punching each other. And then my daughter was trying to take the Cheetos off the shelf at the checkout, and I had this young teen guy trying to help me. It was just like, yep, this is mom. This is being a mom, and this is a Saturday night for me, a typical Saturday night. So, yeah, I guess my success is just, trying to remain calm and just go with the flow. I mean, sometimes I can feel myself just, I feel myself bubbling up, and I'm like, I just want to, react, but I've got to just stay calm and try, just try to respect the fact that they're kids. This is their, they don't know that it's Target. I mean, for them, it's just another playground, and they're just, expressing themselves. So that is always the challenge, I think.
Yeah. I think the ironic thing is that Target is also our playground.
Yes, it is. I'm like, oh, let me look at, I want new gym clothes. Let me look. And they were like hiding in the different, clothing areas under the stuff. I'm like, this is not working.
Oh my God. So how do you really handle meltdowns? Is there like a thought process? Do you like quickly react to meltdowns? What do you do?
I tend to be a little more reactive. My husband, on the other hand, is he'll always analyze it with the kids and have them go through this nice process. Well, how are you feeling and how could you express that? Whereas I tend to go for the jugular right away. But I've gotten better. I've started, really asking my kids like, well, what's going on, and try to hear their perspective. Otherwise, I'm only seeing it from my lens, and that sometimes is not helpful. So I'm both. I've been known to be the mom that's like, we're at the grocery store and there's Cheerios and cereal all over the floor of the car. And I'm like, who made this mess while I was driving, before we go in the car. I think you just have to have grace, and you have to be recognized like none of us are perfect. And so we're doing the best we can. Our kids, no matter how amazing we are as parents, they're going to grow up with different issues. We just can't control it. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me. So I don't know if you remember the store Blockbuster?
Yes.
So my son, my oldest, he's going to be 16 this year, but we lived in Miami for a very long time. And when he was little, the local Blockbuster we used to go to, rent movies, just for the weekend, whatever. He must have been like 5 or 6. And I would take him in there sometimes, just so he can browse, kill some time. Because, mom, you just want to keep them busy, right? And he totally threw a tantrum over candy he wanted from her. And I am telling you, it was the craziest scene. Everybody in the store was staring at me because he threw himself on the floor. He was screaming, kicking, crying. I literally dragged him out of the store. I picked him up, took him out of the store while he was screaming and crying. It was just horrible. And then he had flip-flops on. He left them in the parking lot. I was not.
Oh, no.
I got in my car with embarrassment, and I was like, we are going home. I am taking you to your dad. You are not coming back to Blockbuster.
Yes.
It was a crazy situation. So, moms listening out there, we're there with you. I think every mom goes through a meltdown situation at least once,
for sure.
Where the kids are just a little crazy.
Well, and it's so fun too, like you say, if we could, as entrepreneurs, if we could just harness all that passion and energy that our kids have and put it into our business, we'll be like, wow, instead of,
exactly.
Yeah. Always judging.
But I think a win for us in general is our kids seeing us doing what we do.
Yes.
Right? So they're seeing you doing your live Facebooks, working with your clients. Mommy's working hard. She's at it. They probably ask you questions about what you do.
Yes.
So it's in their mind, and it's subconsciously being ingrained into them that they need to work hard.
Right.
That they need to value something that they're passionate about because they see mom doing it.
Right. Right. Yes, that is, I think, the blessing. There's blessing and curses of being an entrepreneur, but that is one of the blessings for sure. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So, hot topics.
Yes.
Speed round. Okay. So, yesterday was World Breast Pumping Day. Did you hear about that?
Yes. Yes.
So, it's the second year in a row that we're celebrating World Breast Pumping Day. And it was started by Snugabel, which happens to be, they created an invention for nursing bras. So you can fit your breast pump into it.
Nice.
Maybe just a little shout out to Snugabel, send me a sample. I can check it out myself.
Yes. Right.
Maybe I'll do that. I'll reach out to them. But they started it last year, and it's so ironic. Think about it. We're in the breast pumping business. We started because of pumping, places for moms to pump.
Right.
Other companies have. We have all these inventions. A lot of moms are doing these things, right? But it took us so long to have a World Breast Pumping Day.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that? Do we need a day to celebrate breast pumping? I mean, we have a whole month to celebrate nursing moms.
Yes. Yes. I think we do. And one of the reasons I think is because there are moms out there that actually they aren't necessarily able to even nurse right off the bat. So they might just be pumping right from the beginning. And so I've had different conversations with different moms that have said, I felt like I wasn't the same as everybody else because I was just pumping and I wasn't nursing at the breast for whatever reason, whatever issue they had. And so that was super important to them to feel like, well, I'm still breastfeeding, even though baby's not at the breast. I'm using the pump. I'm giving them the breast milk, or maybe like, moms that are traveling. I mean, whatever it is, I think the breast pumping comes into it at some point. It's almost unavoidable today. So I feel like that's really key, is for moms to feel like no matter how their baby is getting breast milk, even if it's, donated breast milk. I saw the video on your page about that mom that donates. I mean, it's still the same thing. Yes, it was amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, what an awesome thing that she's able to do that for people, and to see that, she has this hyper supply, to see that as a benefit instead of, something that's upsetting, or, oh my gosh, I've always had this milk, whatever it is. So I love that. I love that video about her. But yeah, I think more respect around pumping. I mean, especially for moms that are working. I know when I worked in the clinic, even though I was in a clinic with other, healthcare providers, I still felt kind of guilty taking my pumping time, even though we had a pumping room, and I would sit there and count the minutes. Oh my gosh, has it been 20 minutes? I got to get back to my desk. And that's hard.
Right.
And so yes, if we can support moms at that, the longer we can nurse our babies with breast milk, whatever way it is, the better, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And although it's taking so long for things like this to be put in place for us to celebrate our regular lives, this is just normal stuff that moms go through. Working moms or moms on the go, trying to find a place to pump, or just the stuff that you have to go through. You go through chapped nipples, the messiness, the noise if you have an electric pump. It's really an uncomfortable situation, and some moms, they're pumping for so long to a point where sometimes they're tired of it. They're like fatigued because but they're doing it out of love for their babies. Exactly. So there's this whole unsaid world of breast pumping that we always try to put out in the forefront. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not glamorous.
Yes.
So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you're a doula, the CDC guidelines. So we wrote an article about it last year when they came out, that they are now allowing doulas into the operating room when moms are having cesareans. So you're not just there for when you're having a natural birth. You're now there for when moms are in the operating room for cesareans. And you actually wrote a blog for us that we're hopefully going to be publishing when the site is live again.
Yes. Wonderful. Yep.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes. When you had said that, I was thinking about it, that how you kind of worded it. The CDC now allows, gives doulas permission to be in the operating room. It's kind of funny because doulas have been going into operating rooms for many, many years, obviously, and maybe there hasn't been this kind of formal recognition of that or permission, but I feel like no matter how you give birth, whether it's a natural birth, whether it's, you know, vaginal with medication, or whether it's in the operating room, a cesarean birth, if you've hired a doula and they're there for that emotional and physical support, you know, they're just an extension of you, the mom, and your family unit. And so to say that you wouldn't be allowed as the doula into the operating room is kind of, it almost doesn't make sense to me, but I know that it has happened in the past. So it's nice, I think, to have this validation, and maybe to say, being that it's the Centers for Disease Control, you know, what they're saying is like, just because we have another individual in the operating room that isn't a health professional, like formal health professional, as in a nurse or physician or a scrub tech, they're not going to be, you know, compromising the sterile field. They're not going to be, you know, causing problems in how we take care of the surgery. So I think that really says a lot, that, you know, no matter what kind of birth a mom has, she deserves to be supported and deserves to have, you know, the support people in the room that she really wants to have there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think you hit on something really important, because you said that you're sort of considered the non-medical professional.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because as a mom, I would see you as a medical professional.
Right.
You know, I'm going to you for that expertise and that advice that a doctor doesn't provide.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I think it's a fine line. So many times, because I'm a nurse, I kind of have that odd overlap where I have the nursing background and the doula background, but I've always been really careful with families I work with to kind of explain that I'm not a medical provider, because what I'm doing is I'm not giving you necessarily medical advice. I'm giving you advice that can enhance your experience. I'm helping you communicate better. I'm an advocate for you and your family, but I'm not just that I'm not giving that medical advice. And so I think that puts medical providers at ease, because sometimes I think there's the fear that the doula is going to that she's going to interfere, or that she's going to, you know, if the mom only desires a birth that's not a cesarean, the doula is going to be the one they're fighting at the door, you know, before they take him to the OR. And that's just, yes, in some cases those things have happened, but that's not the standard. I mean, the doula is really there to help moms process, to help them ask the questions before they go to the surgery. So I think that the reason we say non-medical is just to help people understand that we're not trying to interfere with the medical system as it exists, but we're trying to support our client, be an advocate. Yeah.
Well, something I didn't mention to you prior to us planning, but what is your take on insurance coverage for doulas?
Yes.
I know a little bit of back and forth about that.
Right.
Some insurance providers provide it, some don't.
Yep.
What's your take on that?
It's kind of funny. I just had a potential client text me the other day. So do you provide insurance, or do you take insurance? And I said, no, I don't take insurance. In Minnesota, we have now approved doulas to accept insurance, but the controversy with it is that the reimbursement is so limited that it really doesn't, unless you're a brand new doula, just right fresh out of the gates, and you're willing to take whatever you get paid, it doesn't really give sufficient compensation, especially for doulas that do this, you know, full-time or nearly full-time. You can't live on that income. And so I really do believe there are benefits to having insurance cover doula services. In fact, some hospitals actually have doulas on staff, which is kind of a different concept, where if you didn't hire a doula and you're in labor, that doula will come and support you. It's not someone you knew during your pregnancy, but you still have that advocate, that person in the room with you. So that's a good thing. I think eventually we'll probably see more of that. And I would like to see doulas be more available to all people in the population, you know, whatever their income level. But at the same time, I want to be an advocate for doulas and say that, you know, they do go through the training and all of the efforts, the education. And so doulas, I believe, should feel compensated so they can provide good care, so they're not feeling like they're, you know, not getting that compensation they deserve. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say to moms who cannot afford a doula? Is there an option for them?
It kind of depends what community you're from. I know in my state, there is an organization that provides volunteer doulas, and so you
Mm-hmm.
can put in an application with them, and then they will, work with you, and you don't have to pay anything for it. And that was basically a group of doulas in the community that were like, we need to give back. We want to give back, and this should be more accessible to more people, which is wonderful. I
Yeah.
think that's really, really great. And I would like to see more of that, because I think you can balance that. You can have your clients that are paying, and then you can, give back services. So, but it's tricky. Definitely, when I was creating my business, that was my one thought, was like, how can I reach out to more women? Because there aren't doulas
Mm-hmm.
in every community. Some hospitals aren't doula friendly. I mean, it's just so many different, there's so much room for growth, I think. So I would
Yeah.
say my bottom line advice would be, see if there's something in your community that, where you can, sign up for a doula and you don't have to pay, or you can give whatever you can pay. Or if you have a trusted friend, who maybe has experience attending births in some capacity, you could ask them if they would support you. It can be tricky if it's someone you know and they're not a professional doula, because they might bring their own biases with them to that birth, and that could affect things. But it's
Yeah.
still better to have someone in the room who's an advocate for you than to not, I think. So yeah.
I think that's fantastic advice. And I never, that's not, I mean, I wasn't fortunate enough to use a doula. I mean, it's been years since I had my last child, but it never crossed my mind to use a doula. And nobody ever said to me, you should get a doula, you should get a midwife. And it's ironic, I have aunts in Europe that are midwives,
Ah,
you know, but it never occurred to me, other than having my husband there, or maybe
right.
my mom, to have that extra support from someone else to be
Yes.
my advocate,
Yes.
But I think that's great advice you just gave. So talking about advice,
Yes.
I want to talk about business. So your business, Elizabeth Summers Wellness, tell me a little bit about it. How did you start it? What inspired you?
Yes. Well, I have done a lot of doula work on the ground, per se, face to face, supporting moms in labor at the actual birth. And I love doing that. But what I felt like was, there's other states where there maybe necessarily aren't enough midwives, and midwives and doulas are different, but they have a similar appreciation for natural birth, I should say. And I felt like there's so much information that we have in healthcare that's not getting out to people, or it's not delivered in a way that people want to receive it. And so I had the idea that if I can reach more women and be a virtual doula, then I can help bring some of these topics to light that I know about as a nurse, and just as in my experience as a doula. And then ideally supporting families virtually in a way that's convenient for them, because sometimes it's hard to get to all these appointments, and then postpartum you might not want to leave your house. So for moms that aren't local, that's kind of what I thought about, was how can I bring that support to them, and how can I bring community to them? So that was kind of the inspiration for it.
So, we're talking about doulas. For people who are not very, very familiar with what doulas offer, can you share about the difference? So I'm reading here. Can you share about the doula difference?
Yes.
So what difference does a doula make?
Yes. Well, I always love to tell people, and they may or may not be familiar, there was a study done where they had a doula sit in a room and support the mom the way you would think about a doula. She was offering emotional support and suggesting position changes and being there for the mom. So being really, really active, maybe doing some aromatherapy, some massage, different things. Then they had a woman sit in the room behind a curtain who was also a doula, but did essentially no kind of interaction. And they still found that the women that had the doula sitting behind the curtain, not really physically interacting with the mom, that those moms still had better birth outcomes. So to me, that kind of, it just gives me chills, because it's like doulas, having them in the room, it does a couple things. It helps to keep the healthcare providers accountable, because you've got another person there that's kind of seeing what's going on. It helps the mom feel supported, that she can express her voice and not have have accountability from the doula and everything about what's being said and what's going on. And then, of course, the standard things, the emotional support, the physical support, and support for the partner. I think that's really key, because partners feel, I don't want to be replaced, or the wife feels like, I don't want my husband replaced by the doula. And I always tell people, I'm there to support both of you. And I want your husband or your partner to have that birth experience as well. It's not just, you know, it's also their birth. And so if they don't have to be worried about all these little elements, you know, who's coming in and out of the room, or turn the lights down, or get a washcloth, then that can be a more positive experience overall. Yeah.
So you brought up dad.
Yes.
So we never talk about dads and doulas. That sounds like a tagline or something. Dads and doulas.
Yes.
Or dads that are or men who are doulas.
Yes.
Is there such a thing? Is there like a for dads?
Personally, I've not met any men doulas. Of course, there are men midwives, but I haven't met men doulas. There probably are some. Typically, I would say, I mean, the word doula, it means, it's usually, it's a feminine word, a woman that's supporting other women. So, I mean, I think it's possible. It would just depend on a woman's comfort level. But I love working with dads, and I feel like, and then that's one of the most rewarding things, is to help the parents have really good communication with each other, because that's something that can easily break down in labor. You know, sometimes the mom is doing a behavior and the dad has no idea, like, what do I do next? Or he feels kind of attacked by her. And so that's a place where I love to offer that extra support and encouragement. Hey, you're doing a great job. Remember, before she talked about she would really love to have this, let's try this. So it's kind of like the dad and I, or the partner and I, are a team together, and we're there supporting mom.
I love that. I love that. Maybe we could do a blog about that.
Yeah.
Dads and doulas.
I would love to do. I've got lots of stories about dads. So, yes.
So you're doing your business, you're providing these services. How are you juggling mom life with being a mompreneur? How are you doing that?
Yes, it's a what do they say? It's like you have to make a decision every day to, like, be focused on your business and try to balance everything. Some days are better than others. My son is in second grade, and my daughter goes to a daycare, so that certainly helps, because I have that structured quiet time during the day that I can actually work on things. But there are times, like this morning, where I was, you know, shuffling him out the door with my husband. The kids were, you know, not wanting to get dressed, and it's like, I gotta be on there at a certain time. But it all worked out. So I think it's just recognizing, like, what's important for me. I'm really driven by passion, and so if I can just get myself to be working on it, I will become immersed in it, and then just let my family know that, you know, this is a priority, and we'll work around it. We'll do fun things that you want to do too, but mom has this, you know, activity. And like you said, they're respectful, because they realize, oh, it's important for her to do this, you know, Facebook Live or this phone call. Yep. So.
Well, it's funny you say that, because whenever I do live, I ultimately have one kid standing behind the camera. Like my 10-year-old, I didn't flinch, because I'm used to it. My 10-year-old was behind here earlier.
Oh, that's
like,
so funny.
Can you see me?
I love it. Oh my gosh.
I always have one of those.
Yes.
Which is so funny.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So how do you create your goals? So I know this is a big thing, you know, It's the beginning of the year, and I'm a big advocate of sitting down, reflecting on the year before, and sort of like mentally and physically writing down what my goals are for the next year out. What I want to do for MomsPumpHere, my other businesses, for myself, for my kids, just writing it down. Do you have a process like that?
I have tried so many different goal writing out processes and worksheets and all these different things, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that, you know, having just a couple goals, like even just 3 big goals, and you can break those down into chunks. So let's say if I have a revenue goal for my business, then I can write down, I'm a detail person, so I like to write all these little elements. Well, that's okay. My big goal is X amount of revenue. And then I can have, you know, 5 points under that are the actions I'm going to take. So I think, being really focused, being really clear on just a couple goals. If I get too many goals, then I'm running in too many directions, and I feel like I'm not getting anything done. So I think narrowing down, paring down, and just, you know, keeping those goals. I actually have a big poster that I made for this year, 2018 business overview. I'm looking at it right now. It's like the chart of my whole business for the year.
Your vision board? Is it a vision board?
It's not a vision board. It's like a chart. It's like, okay, I'm going to do these things with my pregnancy support. I'm going to do these things with my course. I'm going to do, so it kind of lists my whole business on one big piece of paper. And I see it every day. So every day I'm inspired and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to work on this, or I want to work on that. So I'm super visual. So keeping it in front of me is what really helps, I think.
I love that you do that. So that's another great tip for moms that are watching. Create something visual.
Yes.
And put it in your workplace, just mapping out what you want to do.
Exactly.
And just sort of checking it off and making notes. I love doing that. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be pretty. It can just be functional, you know, and just having that connection to your business goals every day, that will help you kind of subconsciously take steps towards it. And you may not even realize you're doing it, but you're reminded that, okay, that's important to me, so I'm going to take steps towards it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So one question that we didn't touch upon before, to backtrack a little bit about being a doula, is midwives. So we had another mom comment about midwives not being allowed in the room, and then there's a big difference. What exactly is the difference between a midwife and a doula in your experience?
And it's such a huge question. I actually studied midwifery for about 1.5 years when I decided that wasn't the path for me at that time. So I know a lot about the profession. But there are so many different types of midwives. But in general, the difference between a doula and a midwife is that the midwife is the one who can actually catch the baby, and the doula is not. So I've had sometimes clients.
Oh, we're back. Are we back? Elizabeth, are you there? Can you hear me? So we're having technical difficulties, does not surprise me. So our video, if you could see me talking right now, Elizabeth, I hope you're still on because your beautiful face is frozen. We have our first episode of Spilled Milk Sundays with Elizabeth Summers, nurse and doula, and we were having such a great conversation and the internet dropped. So I am hoping that Elizabeth hops right back on. Oh, Liz, this always happens. We were having such a great conversation about doulas. So she was explaining the difference between midwives. Oh, there she is. Can you see me, Liz? I can see that you're still connected. I don't want to remove her. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because Liz, it looks like she's still on. I'm going to disconnect her and then request her again, because I know you can see me.
Hi! Yay!
Ah! Can you see me?
I can see you perfectly, yes.
Oh my God, I can't see you on the split screen for some reason.
Oh, let
me try you again.
Okay, I can see both of us, but
I don't know what's going on. Facebook, boo, Facebook. And we were having such a great conversation just now.
Well, luckily I know it went dead, or I would have been talking to myself. That can happen too. So Oh.
Okay, as long as you could see me. We're split screen right now.
Yes, I can see both of us split screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because I can't see you split screen, and it says it's still inviting you, but I can hear you.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's showing.
Okay, so we were talking about midwives and doulas, and you're in mid-sentence.
Yes, so I think the bottom line is midwives, whether they're certified professional midwives, certified nurse midwives, or practical midwives, whatever it is, they are the baby catchers, and doulas are not. Doulas are there really to support the mom and to offer suggestions, but they are not going to get the gloves out and catch the baby. So that is the easiest way to know the distinction, I think.
Yeah, so it's funny, catching the baby. So midwives,
yes,
they're certified to catch the baby, to take the baby out?
Yes, actually it is, that is also another misconception. Now it does depend on the state. Thankfully in many US states, certified nurse midwives, so they have an RN degree plus a master's or a PhD, and so they can do, total woman care, all the way through the postpartum and well woman and all that care, and catch the babies and prescribe medication. So kind of like a nurse practitioner, similar in that vein. But there is kind of a competition between midwives and OBs in some areas. And so in some cases, yeah, they make it difficult for midwives to either practice in the hospital, or they want the midwife and the physician in the room at the same time. But the thing is that we have a huge healthcare shortage of primary care physicians. We have OBs, but they're super expensive and they're really specialized. And so midwives are really a way for us to access more rural areas, provide care to all kinds of women. So I always feel a little frustrated when I see that, there's been some barriers put up for midwives to practice. But yes, they learn how to catch babies. They learn, how to manage your labor, how to know when's the placenta coming out, all those kind of things. So they're really skilled and supportive of natural physiologic birth is kind of the idea.
Wow. So I think that's also another great blog topic, by the way.
I know, there's so many.
Because you think that they're interchangeable, but there's an obvious difference to it that people are aware of.
Yes, and that's something that I find. Sometimes I feel like being a nurse, or having worked in healthcare and being a doula, being a birth assistant, I'm in this insular community where everyone should understand the terminology. Everybody should understand the difference. And then when I'm talking to families, I realize, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity for education. And that's the key, because it gives families empowerment, whether they want to choose a midwife, a family doc, or an OB, whoever they want to select for their provider, and that makes a huge difference. So I feel like that information just empowers people, and so they're not surprised, because being in the dark about what's going to happen at your birth is really the worst thing that, you know, could happen. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for being our guinea pig.
It's a lot of fun. You're very accommodating, and you have such a good sense of humor and energy. So like, okay, I can relax.
Well, I'm glad
Yes.
It's translating.
Yes.
Because I'm back here like, oh my God, the internet's down again. What's going on?
See, it's troubleshooting, the true world of an entrepreneur. You just got to jump over those obstacles and keep going, right?
Right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. So tell our moms how they can find you.
Yes. Well, you can find my website. So that is elizabethsummerswellness.com. You can find me on Facebook at Elizabeth Summers Wellness. So those are probably the two easiest ways to find me. And from there, you can, you know, find more links and things. But definitely, you know, connect with me on Facebook. And I have different Facebook Lives I post up, so you can, you know, listen to those and just, you know, chit chat in the comments. I love that. So
awesome. And we'll put the links to your website and your Facebook in the comments below, so moms that are rewatching the video later on can check it out.
Yes.
And see what you're all.
Wonderful.
So thank you everyone for watching today for our first episode of Spilled Milk Sundays, where parenting gets real. We are so excited to launch this series with our amazing mamas and dads and mompreneurs and dadpreneurs that we have on our platform. So make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, so this video will go on YouTube as one of our new series, and make sure that you check out MomsPumpHere.com. Hopefully it will be live today, or I'm going to be pulling my gray hair out. But thank you everyone for watching. Have a happy Sunday. Hope you enjoy brunch. Love you all.
Thank you, Priya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.